Hello and welcome to today's Worlds 2023 Final Four jungler video where we go over the four teams, junglers that are left at semifinals in Korea. We're going to go over some stats, champion selection, and how teams are approaching that role in draft. And just kind of discuss this a bit. We just did top lane yesterday. Mid lane will be out tomorrow. In terms of how we came to these numbers, who have these players played up against? I think that does matter. So Kanavi has played 4 games against Cuz from KT, 3 against Tarzan from LNG, 1 against Shun, and 1 against Sheo from BDS. Shun has played against Peanut 5 times, Yike 3 times, Owner twice, then Razork, Kanavi, and Cuz. Weiwei has played against Contracts 4 times, Razork 3 times, Elyoya twice, Cuz, and Yike. So Weiwei's numbers, he's only played against one Western jungler. One Eastern jungler the entire slate of games that we have listed here. And then we have Owner from T1. He's played Tarzan 3 times, Shun twice, Blabber, Peanut, and Pioshik. So when we go over these numbers, keep that in mind that these are the players that these teams, these junglers have had on the opposite side. So KDA, Kanavi around 4, Shun nice 5.7, Weiwei lower, and then Owner 8.1, extremely high, not dying, right, not inting his face off, and that's pretty good given his KP. And we'll get to that in a second and how active he is relative to the team. Now, keep in mind, T1 playing very LCK-like, if that's not a shock. So, not dying a lot, not a ton of kills being made. That does happen. Now, CS per minute. How many resources are these players really getting? Kanavi, much higher, 6.4 CS per minute. That is a Kanavi staple. He's a carry-oriented jungler. He will get his. And he does not give it up, and that's why JDG and 369 usually has a lower CS per minute than you'd expect from a top laner of his caliber. Now, you look at Weiwei, because Shun and Owner are in that middle range, that average range of 5.5 that I like to see. Weiwei, 4.8. That means pure facilitator, and that's no shock. He needs to make plays. If he's not making plays without getting farm, then he's doing what I consider to be something you can't see stat-wise, right? That would be objective control and then creating pressure. But pressure is subjective because really you're not in the mind of the opposition to really know if he's creating pressure or not. But, I mean, we can make things up and determine that if we want to. Now, as far as KP is concerned, Weiwei is the outlier, right? So he's not getting a lot of farm, and he's 2 out of every 3 kills. And that's slightly below where you want him to be. I like 70% or more. And even in this meta, you see the other 3 junglers, the way the teams are fighting, their junglers are involved in 4 out of every 5 kills or more. So Weibo are playing a different style, and it's not really sufficient if Weiwei is not involved, because Weiwei then doesn't get any gold because he's not farming otherwise. He's not getting assists. He's not getting kills. So, not great. In my opinion, that's not a good situation. Out of these 4, Weiwei is definitely the worst one. Some people are going to say that, I know that some people think he's the best jungler at this tournament. I don't think so. I definitely think he's the 4th ranked one out of these 4 here. Gold per minute, so really how much are we getting resource-wise? All around in the 300s. Kanavi 377, all the way to Weiwei at 323. 50 difference, 50 times 20. I mean, that's 1,000 gold difference at 20 minutes. You could argue if that's a lot or not. I don't think it's too much, but that is the diffy there. Now, in terms of damage, how much damage are these guys putting out? Kanavi 378, carry oriented. He is giving you return on investment in the gold, and that's huge. A lot of junglers don't do that. We're going to look at in a second. The other 3 actually don't. So the investment into Kanavi comes out in impact in team fights. That's about 17% of the team's damage. Shun, 336, 15%. Also carry-oriented, essentially giving you return on investment. But Weiwei and Owner, so Owner's getting this gold. Now, is he playing champions that may become facilitator-oriented but tankier? I mean, looking at the champion pool, you could say that. And Weiwei as well. His gold is going to becoming tankier. He's not carry-oriented. He's just not as involved as Owner is relative to the rest of his team. His team's fighting away from him. Way under 10%. I mean, it's not a shock to me that his damage is under 10% because the team fights away from him so much. So those two junglers not giving as much as Kanavi and Shun on return. Now at 15 minutes, Kanavi, Shun, and Owner all ahead in gold. Owner had the most, about 274 gold at 15 minutes. Weiwei is down over 300 gold at 15 minutes, and that is something to think about because Weiwei was against what you'd say are the worst junglers out of the slate of junglers these guys faced. So if he's losing to Contracts and Elyoya and Yike at 15 minutes, what's going to happen against Shun? I mean, I think, you could fathom the bit of the diffy that may occur as a result. Now, CS-wise, it's all relatively within a camp, but Weiwei is on average down 2 camps, even 3, depending, at 15 minutes, which, I mean, if he's making plays, that's okay. But KP-wise, not really making plays. Now, objective control definitely is a factor. We could look at how many Rift Heralds are taken by Weibo, how many Drakes are taken by Weibo at 15 minutes, and maybe he's just doing that instead. It's definitely a possibility. Otherwise, we're just theory crafting. Well, he's creating pressure, but we can't actually prove that unless the opposition's legitimately said, oh, the jungler's creating pressure here. Unless he's sitting on vision playing with himself, in which case, is he in the opposition's head, or is the opposition just milking it so he wastes more time? I think you could argue either way. XP, way down 300 XP at 15 minutes. Everyone else, I mean, the gold diffy isn't that big of a deal. Solo kills doesn't really matter to me when it comes to junglers. Owner did solo kill Tarzan this past week. A lot of people want to, that's obviously been a big talking point this past week. So, I mean, that's a thing. Now, as far as champion selection is concerned, so Kanavi has played many different champions. He's played 6 different ones. Some unique picks for him: Wukong, Lee Sin, and I have Rel listed on here twice, so Rel is not unique. But Wukong and Lee Sin, the other 3 junglers have not played those champions at this tournament. You would expect Owner to get an opportunity to do so. That has not happened, but that is Owner's best champion. He has one of the highest win rates all time on that champion, and in a significant sample size. Now, as far as Shun is concerned, his unique pick is Nidalee. Nobody else played Nidalee at this tournament out of these 4. His most played is Jarvan by far. Obviously, the 5 games of Jarvan against Genji will boost that. As far as Weiwei is concerned, everything he's played, everybody else has. His most played is Rel, which is unique. The other 3 players have not played as many Rel games as him. And then Owner, nothing unique out of him. His most played is Jarvan. So as far as uniqueness is concerned, it's limited to Kanavi and Shun. Kanavi, Wukong, Lee Sin, Shun, Nidalee. Now, how are these teams approaching jungle role in draft? What are they banning? And what's being banned against them, right? So, against Kanavi, people are banning Jarvan and Vi, but they are banning Maokai Sejuani. So 4 champions, so we look at the overall percentages on Games of Legend and we're breaking it down. 4 of those 10 champions, 4 of those 10 slots are jungle related. In terms of BLG, they put the least amount of emphasis on jungle in the draft phase. So against them, nobody is banning anything really, but they are banning Poppy. Significant enough to end up being one of the top 5 most common bans they have. In terms of Weibo, They invest the most into the jungle phase in draft, the jungle role in draft. Against them, Poppy and Maokai have been banned against them heavily, but they're also banning J4, Vi, and Maokai. So they are like, okay, you're banning Maokai, that's fine. We were gonna ban it anyways. You can ban it. That's okay. Oh, we're gonna ban Maokai. Like that's how they are handling things. So they do not want Maokai in their games. And then as far as T1's concerned, people are banning J4 against Owner, and then they're banning Maokai Sejuani. So Maokai is showing up on everybody in everybody's draft except BLG. So BLG evidently don't care if it's in the game either way. Yagao can play Sylas, so that's probably why. Of course, Sylas insta counter to Maokai. We saw this last Worlds, and that meta is still there when it comes to just that specific interaction. And even hell, Sejuani. Some people want to steal Sejuani ulti and things like that. So, yeah, the jungle role is definitely an interesting one. It's been a hot contested topic with Tarzan this past week. I thought about it actually. When I started this channel, I did have a lot more time on my hands. And I used to, during the games, look at the first 15 minutes in a vacuum. Not in a vacuum necessarily, but in its own set in the laning phase, however long it would be. And I would take the junglers and like count how many plays they attempted, how many successful dives, ganks, invades, objectives, things like that, to find out really who is more active, who is actually doing something. And I haven't had as much time to actually count it up. Obviously, I watch the game and you just mentally say, okay, this person's doing this person's doing that. But to actually count it up and compare, and then go over it in the video as part of the roundup. When I looked at Tarzan and Owner, there wasn't a massive difference. Did Owner make more plays in games 1 and game 2? Yeah, but Tarzan actually made more plays in game 3 than Owner did when it came to ganks and dives, successful ganks and dives. Obviously, Owner solo kills him. Obviously, Owner takes objectives in the early game. Tarzan is responsible for laning phase, taking objectives. Now, if we got to keep in mind with this, too, with these junglers, is lane prio a thing? If they're not getting lane prio, they can't take objectives. But that means you need to get a gank off. So, it's definitely something to think about. But actually, like, looking at it and counting it up, Owner wasn't all that more active than Tarzan was, so it's definitely something that it's a highly contested topic. But I think that when you actually look at it and pay attention to how much Owner actually did, it wasn't that much different. So the gap I didn't think was really there, but I don't know, I've kind of argued enough about that. Tarzan's one of the best junglers in the world. I think he's like top 5 in the world. There's a reason why he was at this event. A lot of people want to say like, X jungler is better, this or that, or oh my God, they always suck internationally. It's like the fact of the matter is these guys go to the international event. And I've said this all along. If a player goes to the international event, he's probably better than the domestic player he beat. Otherwise, the domestic player would be here. Is that happening in all cases? No, but if a player continues to go international every year or often, then one could argue that they are world class and deserve to be there. Of course, Tarzan hadn't been there in a couple of years. 2021 was the last time, but I think he's fine. So, yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.